Hi, everybody. Albinator here from Mulligans and Hackers, and today on the podcast we have Kristen, founder of Fore Chicks. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am well, thanks. I appreciate your time. I know your time is valuable, and I always love it when people come and have a chat with us here. So thanks a lot. So,
Thank you.
Fore Chicks,
Mhm.
Fore, as it's golf related, Fore Chicks.
Correct.
Where did the idea come from? How did you kind of get it off the ground, and why was the purpose of it starting? I guess where did the whole process come from?
Yeah, so like the whole idea of starting my own women's golf apparel brand, it really started at the beginning of the pandemic as I started golfing at the beginning of the pandemic in July 2020.
Same
And
with
a lot
us.
of,
We're
yeah, a
we're
lot of,
we're, we're a pandemic brand as well.
yeah, pandemic golfers unite.
Yeah, yeah.
But so yeah, a lot of my girlfriends started golfing as well during the pandemic because there was nothing else to do. But then I kept hearing the same complaints. We could never find women's golf apparel that we liked. Like it was either kind of geared towards more like the retired female golfer, just with the prints and the way that the designs were. Like skirts were super, super long. You couldn't find shorts that didn't really hit just above the kneecap. And I just kept hearing the complaint, and I myself was having a hard time finding women's apparel that I felt comfortable and confident in. Um, so it just got to a point where it was my boyfriend and I actually we were on vacation and we were at a brewery and I found this fun little beer koozie with like such a fun wild print on it. And I was like, imagine this on a golf polo. Like this would be such a fun golf polo. Like I want more fun, vibrant prints like this because like you can't find it really anywhere for the women's stuff. It's always kind of tamed down colors and like flowers. So I was just like, I should like start my own brand. And we were just kind of joking around about it. But then after that conversation, I really started doing a lot of research on how you'd even start your own clothing brand, where I'd get it made, like all that stuff. And it just kind of kept going from there. Because I started finding out like where I can get my stuff manufactured. I was pitching the idea to friends and family members, and people seemed really into it. So then it was trying to come up with the name Fore Chicks. It was actually one of the first names that I was playing with was Fore Chicks, but I had like a whole long list of a bunch of other silly names that I'm glad I didn't go that route. Looking back on it, but I think I kind of landed on the Fore Chicks aspect. Um, just four, obviously,
Hmm.
the golf pun in there, and that it would be for women. I kind of like the chicks aspect because my brand is for all ages, but I am kind of gearing it more towards like the younger female golfer, like the 30 to kind of 50 range. So I just thought it was a fitting brand name for kind of the target audience that I was going for.
So do you see more? I know I see it, but you see more of the younger ladies getting into golf that would this brand would probably appeal to.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's why I really started it because all of my girlfriends were in our late 20s, early 30s, and it was just the same complaint over and over again. And I golf quite a bit here in Ontario. I've been a part of different ladies' leagues, and I have been seeing that the demographic is getting a lot younger for women getting into golf, which is awesome. And like I even see it out west, like in Alberta and stuff. There's so many great kind of brands and groups that are encouraging younger females to get out. So it's definitely an area that's like needed to be targeted a bit more with.
I agree with that. I agree with that. So you got your name. You're rolling in the how do I do this?
Yeah.
Just give us a little bit of an insight into name, wanting to do brands, and how you go about reaching out to manufacturers and that whole process, because we've done a little bit of it in the past and that can be a little daunting. So just give us a little bit of an insight into we have the logo, we have the name, now we need to get it on merchandise and just that aspect of it, and then we'll get into like how you do the social media. How do you get it out there? But just give us an
Mhm.
idea on the manufacturing part of it, like just the trials of going through, getting that logo onto a polo.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So just coming up with the logo, I am super grateful. I have a friend that does kind of branding as a bit of her side gig and hustle. So she kind of created a whole branding package for me, which helped me narrow down the colors that I want for my brand. And she sent me a bunch of like fun different logos that I could use. I ended up landing on what my current logo is because I thought I really like the T with the golf ball as the I in chicks, and I really enjoyed that one the best. I thought it was pretty clean looking, and yeah, I've had a lot of compliments on it. So shout out to my friend Bella for creating an awesome logo. And then the manufacturing part, that was a big trial and error for me. So just trying to find a manufacturer in general, like that was a whole process. I probably took like a week or two just full on doing a bunch of research, trying to collect information that's out there on the internet of how you even start that. And then I was able to narrow it down to some manufacturers that looked like they had good ratings. So you just start off basically by ordering some samples of items because I wanted to check the quality before I start doing like a big bulk order of something. And I just remember the first few samples that I got were terrible. Like just the stitching was bad. The way that the logos were like embroidered on, like it was just awful. And I remember starting to doubt,
Is it kind of demoralizing or deflating when you get those first sample batches and it's like,
oh
well,
my
this isn't what I
gosh.
expected at all?
Well, the one sample that I got, because I sent in a design that I wanted to see, they like put the design on backwards. So like everything was like the wrong way. I was like, and it's very obvious. So I was like, oh God. So it definitely was, I don't know. I was a little worried. I was like, oh gosh, maybe this is not possible. But then luckily the last two samples that I got were like great quality. And I'm using them as like my manufacturer now. So I've been really, really happy with it for the past 2 years. Yeah, we just celebrated our 2 years. So we've
Yes, I
been
saw
going,
that. Congratulations on two
yeah, thank
years.
you.
That's cool. So,
Hmm.
so now you have a supplier, you can get your merchandise. So, like, there's definitely a process into exposure, getting that label, getting that brand exposed.
Hmm.
So what was your process with that? And I guess, where do people find your stuff? Do you have an online store? Is it a site? But in that you have your brand, you have your merchandise now.
Hmm.
What's the process in getting it to the consumer?
Yeah, so I started it off, it's like all Instagram. That's before I committed to doing a website and everything. Like my first season, it was very, very small selection of items just because I am funding this business all on my own. So I didn't want to get too deep into it just in case it wasn't a hit. But it was all Instagram and like Facebook. So I was promoting it like a lot through there. Obviously, friends and family have been super helpful with promoting the brand as well. And then, like a big, big way that I've been reaching consumers just for that brand awareness piece, I've been doing a lot of pop-up events. So I'll go to different golf courses on their ladies' league nights, and I kind of set up a table with all my product, and they can do a little bit of shopping. And it's just always so fun doing those events because I'm a very like social person. So I like going in person and connecting with everyone. And so that's kind of been a big thing for me. And then last year, I decided to launch a brand ambassador program as well, which has really, really helped grow the brand as I've got ladies from like the West Coast to the East Coast that are repping the Fore Chicks brand, which is just so cool to see, especially when they tag me on Instagram and everything. And it's definitely been working because I've been seeing new sales coming from out west, new sales coming from like out east and just different parts of Ontario that I haven't been able to go do pop-ups at yet. So it's really, really cool.
And you were at the Ontario Golf Show as well, right?
Not the Ontario one. So I went to the Niagara Golf
We're the
Show.
Niagara one. That's where
Yeah.
Mike Johnny was there as well, right?
Yeah, we were like booth buddies, which was a lot of fun to be next
So,
to each other.
was that your first one? Like
That was
golf?
my first, I guess,
Like,
like public show because I came out to Alberta back in October for the PGA of Alberta buying show,
okay,
which
yeah,
was amazing exposure as well because I've gotten out. I'm going to be in a lot of pro shops actually in and around Alberta this year.
nice,
So
nice. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Those shows are, I guess, the foot traffic in those type of shows really gets a lot of, and your market, I guess, at a golf show is specifically golf. So you get to see a
Hmm.
lot of people that are just there for golf and looking for those type of products, right?
Yeah, like my first year, I just went to some random market, like a vendor type market, and set up a table just to see how it would go. And I probably won't do that again just because it's not tailored to
Right,
golfers.
right.
And I just remember that was almost a deflating moment too at that market because I barely broke even on what I spent for the table. The table was like $200, which is really not that much in hindsight, but I barely broke even at that market. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Golf shows are definitely the way to go.
Well,
That's for
yeah,
sure. Because
so
everybody that's there is there for golf, right?
exactly. So
So
yeah, that's after that market, I was like, I need to be able to do this, but like in a golf atmosphere. So that's kind of where I came up with the idea of doing pop-ups and to see if golf courses would
and do you
let
travel
me.
around like Ontario doing pop-ups or just in your area?
It's mostly just in my area, like kind of southern Ontario, just because it's hard as I do have another job outside of this. So ideally, I would like to try and do more like pop-up events because I'm going to be taking some vacation throughout the summer to go places. Like I'll be up in Ottawa for a week, so I'm hoping I can maybe snag something out Ottawa way. I am planning to come out to Calgary for the end of June.
Nice.
So yeah, if any of your listeners, if you're a lady and you've got a big ladies league, send us a message and we can try and coordinate something with your golf course so then you
Nice.
can
Yeah, yeah.
do some shopping in person.
Yeah, might be able to do some promo work for that. Reach out to some people and see if there's something on the go up there that we can do.
Yeah.
Just remind me at the end of the podcast to write that down, the end of June, and
Yeah,
we'll
I will
see
for
what we can
sure.
do. So now you got your business, and you said you have a website now,
I do. Yep.
and that
It's
is Fore Chicks Golf. I'm
uh
thinking
just forechicks.com. So it's
forechicks.com, and
pretty
and your
straightforward.
entire line is on there. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, everything's on there. All of my line for this year should be up in like a week or two. I'm just waiting for. We just did like a professional photo shoot, which was kind of fun. So I'm waiting for the professional photos to come in before I throw everything up for this season
Isn't
online.
that wild though? Like you get to a point where it's like, yeah, well, I got to do some pro stuff for this now. This is not just a
You
side
doing a
hustle anymore.
selfie?
Yeah, I get that. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. So you've got a new line coming out for this year.
Hmm.
What are you hoping for now? Like, because like we talked before we got on here, this is the busy season, right?
Hmm.
So do you handle all of your shipping and handling, or do you have that offloaded to somebody else?
It is all me.
That is
I
crazy.
am
Listen,
social media
I did
marketing.
listen. I did two pre-buys first when we started this, like
Hmm.
just two pre-buys for some of these Mulligans and Hackers basic shirts. The time it took to deal with that is
Yep.
absolutely ridiculous. So I haven't done like anything with merchandise for like 2 years because it actually took up way too much time. I can't believe that you just do it all by yourself. That is wild.
I know. Like I've joked around with my boyfriend now because for the past 2 years I've been like consistently so busy between like my day job and then just doing my Four Chicks, not during my regular work hours. I was like,
And
if
then you
Four
still want to
Chicks,
golf.
well, that too. So like I mentioned
So,
before
and
we started
we're coming up in the
recording.
golf season now, and you have a full time job, and you have a full time side hustle
Yeah.
that I know for a fact takes up a lot of time because I tried it before, and I'm like, never again.
Yeah.
I'll get a shirt here and there, but I will not get it to where, you know, if you want something in Mulligans and Hackers, e-transfer us and we'll get it out to you. No way, not happening
Yeah.
because literally, like I had to get my wife involved for crepe's sakes. Like,
Yeah.
like I can't do this. I want to go golfing. And especially in the summertime, like because we tried it at the beginning of the season, like to get our
Hmm.
friends, family, and some followers some merchandise. And golf season starts, and then it's like, well, now you got to do this. Well, I'm going golfing. I have a
Yeah.
full-time job. I work Monday to Friday. I have a full-time job. I golf on
Yep.
the weekends and after work. When do I get a chance to send any of this stuff out? That is crazy that you do it yourself. Any thoughts down the road of offloading that to somebody else though?
Yeah, like I would. I'm waiting to get kind of, I've got a bit of like a goal in mind of where I want to be with my business. And I'm hoping to maybe hire on like one or two employees to help out with some of those aspects of the job. I'm not quite there. I'm kind of aiming for the 2025 season. I'm hoping I can yeah, bring at least one person on to help. Just even with like sales rep kind of duties, just to reach out to the golf courses and actually be able to travel and meet people in person because I found that has been difficult in Ontario because we don't do an in-person buying show the way that you guys have out in Alberta and like so many other provinces do like an in-person buying show, which I find that helps build trust and network and get to know the other golf courses and it's just easier obviously to make connections that way
For sure.
because right now in Ontario I'm just like sending out emails and everyone's just I'm not getting responses or
Right.
because
You
they're
know,
busy too, right?
for sure.
So
And we found that with when we were reaching out to golf courses here to for the 36 a day brand as well. It's like it would be better if you went and saw them.
yeah,
Right. But again,
yeah.
there's that whole I golf. That's my prime jam when I'm doing this is I want to golf. I don't want to be going and doing, you know, making points to go and visit places if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
golfing, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a different summer for us as well because we will be traveling a little bit. Especially we're going to be going up to Calgary for at least one Alberta Golf Tour event. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not quite sure what month that's in yet, but you know, we're gonna go to Calgary and do one of those. There's one here, so we'll definitely hit the one up here, and those are the exciting things for us. But your website, I wanted to ask you about a website because we've thought about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do the website yourself, or did you get somebody else to build it?
So again, another friend of mine, she kind of, so my website's all run through Shopify.
Okay,
But she's got a lot of experience with Shopify, so she like completely built my website for me and everything, which was super helpful. And if you get Shopify like costs money, it's like there is a monthly charge to it. But if you get to a point where you're going to do merchandise a little bit more, like, and it's worth maybe paying for that aspect. It's very easy to use. Like I really like it because I'm not very techy. Because I was a bit worried about that when she kind of sat down with me and gave me the rundown how everything works. If I need to change things, I was like, this better be straightforward, or else like this website thing is not going to work because I won't be able to navigate it. But I've had no problems with it. So
that's something we're looking at too down the road. A website. And again, the whole merchandise thing is kind of it's kind of scary for me because it does take a lot of time, and I don't know if that's where we want to go, but we have had people
hmm
ask about merchandise, and I'm like,
hmm
it could be an avenue for another revenue stream for us, but
hmm
the time that goes into it is outside of my sphere of having the ability to do. So I'm
yeah.
leaving it let lay right now. And again, so this is another thing for us. There's enough. I say there's enough. There's not really because everybody can do a brand that would appeal to
hmm
somebody in the market, right?
Yeah.
There's enough little brands that we like, we follow, that we want to look after as well that way. I mean, Mike
hmm
Johnny 36 a day has been nothing but absolutely fabtacular to us. So if we were doing merchandise, I don't think I would really want to get into the hat sphere because that's his sphere, right? So
Yeah. Well, you could always do a collab with him. I just recently did a collab with them as well. So we've got some like women's visors and women's hats out on the market. And we're hoping to also expand and do more of like our own custom hat because right now what we got is just kind of what was in stock.
right.
But we are looking to make like a customized design more so for like the high ponytail hat, which I don't think you have long hair where that's a problem for
I
you, but
don't know, no. But so the hat I have on here right now, this was one that because it's got, I think, where is the maple leaf? Oh,
other
it's right
side,
there.
yeah.
So this is this is one that Mike Johnny did for us. It's kind of a
Yeah.
little special thing for just me and Chris. There's only two of these in existence, and Chris and
Yeah.
myself have them. But that is kind of a way to go as well.
Yeah.
There's such a huge market around the globe for golf, and if you can get your price point in, again, not everybody wants to wear TaylorMade Callaway,
Hmm.
Ping. People
Hmm.
want to wear brands that associate the golf game to them personally.
Hmm.
That's why we've had a few compliments on our name, Mulligans and Hackers, because 90% of the golfers on the planet are weekend warriors, right?
Yeah.
They take a mulligan and they're hackers. So,
Oh yeah.
so there's brand recognition there too when it comes to you know, personalizing it for the consumer as well. But there's a
Hmm.
lot of people out there, and I love the fact that there's so many brands out there, and people just want to do it and have that desire to have their own brand.
Hmm.
You think so?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Like I've definitely like I've seen other brands as well that are like a bit ahead of where I'm at, and it is kind of like inspiring just to see where they're at, and even through my growth, like kind of seeing what you're saying a bit, I think it was offline, how you kind of see that you're getting to the next
The
stage in your
next
brand.
phase, you're at the beginning of
Yeah,
the
the
next
phase,
phase.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah.
is really cool to see like all these other brands. Like I don't know, I don't really like to think like too much that I'm competing with other small businesses because I do feel like there is enough space within the golf industry that we can all have our own little portion of it. And each brand is so different from each other. Like, yes, I might be competing with like a bunch of other small business golf apparel brands, but I feel like everyone has their own kind of special little niche that I
Again,
guess they're kind of
like
going
I just said,
after.
personalized to the consumer. The
Yeah.
consumer can
Yeah.
relate to your brand or relate to another brand, right? And that's
Hmm.
the personal connection, right?
Hmm.
So you have your business. Where do you think? I don't know. I don't want to do any predictions but
Yeah.
what I guess looking at 2024, you're going to get into your busy season here now. What would be an ideal goal for you at the end of this season that you would go, wow, that was what I wanted.
So I think the main goal is I would like to try and do a lot. I'd like to say a lot more pop-ups, even though I did a ton last year, but I would like to do a lot more pop-ups at maybe different courses within Ontario. Just because, like I said, that personal connection with the courses, I'm hoping that can lead to me getting into pro shops in Ontario, because right now I'm only in two in Ontario. So I think if I can expand in the Ontario market, that would be like, wow, like that was a good season for me.
Right, right.
So,
That's cool. So
yeah.
successful, yes. The brand is
Yeah.
doing well. It,
Yeah.
it's taking out. It's the time you're investing into it is rewarded.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Like it's
That's good.
rewarded in the sense that I love doing this.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
I'm not I'm not quite at the point where I'm getting financially rewarded for it, but that's totally okay. That comes with time.
That comes with time, for sure,
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
I think another big thing because I'm going to be in 12 golf courses across Canada this year, which is like my first big year being in pro shops, is just following up with those courses and getting the feedback on whether or not my stuff's selling or not.
Right? Yeah.
So that's kind of like it's kind of a big year for me just to see if my
That
stuff is
transition, the
selling.
next
Yeah,
level. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah. So if
Well,
it's not selling in the pro shops, then I don't know what the Fore Chicks brand is going to do.
right.
We'll see.
Let's see. Cool. Well, it's cool that you got the brand and it's occupying your time that way. So let's pivot now and let's
Hmm.
talk about the game of golf. So
Hmm.
did you first pick up the game during COVID? Or did you play before that?
No, I've never swung a golf club before COVID, really. I think maybe when I was younger, I swung it like once or twice just for fun. But I never really played the sport until like July 2020 is when I really started getting into it. Because again, there's nothing else to do.
Was
And
it, this is a question I like to ask.
mhm,
Was it intimidating to start playing golf for
it
you?
was. So it was intimidating for me because just growing up, I played a lot of sports and I felt like I had some natural athletic ability and was able to pick up any sport that I like wanted to play. And golf was intimidating in that aspect because it's a very mental game and I'm a very competitive person by nature. So going in there and not being great at it right off this like hop was very mentally like struggling. Like I struggled with that, like trying to transition my mind. Like this is not like any other sport. Like you got to be easy on yourself.
It takes
Um,
time, and it takes a lot. I find where I am in my life, because again, I just picked it up during COVID as well.
mm,
The it is a game that you can actually, no matter what your age is, you can pick up and play, and you can continue to get better at as you play.
for sure.
And it doesn't really matter what your age is, which is kind of cool. So,
Yeah.
was it intimidating for you to go to the golf course and play on a course?
It was at
because
first.
because the game itself, when you're not, I guess, in the game from a very early age, it almost seems a little stuffy when you go to golf courses and you have all these people and they know what they're doing, and was
Yeah.
that part of it intimidating for you?
It was because I didn't always have like a foursome to golf with either. So like sometimes it'd just be like me and my one girlfriend who just started golfing, and then we'd be paired up with like two random guys that you can just tell have been golfing their whole lives. So like it's very intimidating like being a new golfer and like being paired up with strangers or having the group behind you like watching you tee off like because I don't know, you're always kind of thinking people are judging you, I guess,
For
but
sure.
that's not always the case. Like half the time they're chatting with their buddies about like their golf round coming up. They're not even really paying attention to
Right.
you.
So, have you seen a little bit of a? Did you take any lessons?
I did. So that's what
Yeah.
I didn't even like go play any like a round or anything. I didn't even go to like the driving range with my boyfriend or anything beforehand. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I want to do it right. So I bought like a 5 pack of lessons with this one guy, Carlo from offtheTee.ca. If you're in the Burlington, Mississauga area, he does lessons. But he was amazing because he taught me obviously how to swing properly, and I recommend doing that if you're going to get into golf, just so you're not picking up bad habits and they can teach
It's
you the
something
right
we've never
way.
done either. Like, I've never had a lesson.
Oh,
Um,
you should totally do it.
yeah,
It's it's
and
really
it,
nice.
and I saw Chris, my buddy that usually comes on here with me. He went last year and got fitted for his clubs and got a
Hmm.
set of clubs based on his fitting, and you could
Hmm.
definitely tell that brought his game to the next level as well.
Hmm.
Did you get anything
Yeah.
like that done as well, like a
Like club
fitting?
fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I did that recently. Like end of December, I went for a club fitting and I did like the full bag just to see kind of where I was at. And I just posted this morning, I got my new golf clubs that I'm going to slowly upgrade my bag because it's obviously expensive
Mm-hmm.
to go all
Yeah, I think
out.
that's Mulligans and Hackers rule number two, is golf is expensive. Rule
Yep.
number one is golf is hard, and rule number two is golf is expensive,
Yeah.
and it really can be.
Yeah. So I'm just slowly upgrading my golf bag.
So what did you get?
So I got the TaylorMade spider putter.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I also am adding a 56 wedge to my bag. 'Cause, like again, I just have a very like standard beginner set. So it's the MG4 56 wedge by TaylorMade. So I've added that to the bag, and we'll kind of go up from there. Because I think it's important to start off with like your short game clubs because that's what you're using the most as you're golfing.
And again, we've had this conversation with a bunch of people as well. It's like, when it comes to the aspect of the game, like it's almost like every aspect of the game is important. Like,
Hmm.
you know, for me, it's putting. My putting is my least advantageous part of the game. I
Hmm.
have two nicknames. It's fairway finder because I'm really good off the tee, but
Hmm.
I'm dead putt.
Yeah.
I'm a three putting master.
Yeah.
So I need to work on that a lot more this year. But I mean, all these aspects of the game when it comes to off the tee box, mid irons, short game, putting. I mean, it's a game that you'll never perfect, and you'll continuously work on. So
Hmm.
I'll work on putting for a lot this year, like even before we get going here, and then
Hmm.
another aspect of the game will just kind of tail away a little bit. And it's like, oh, then
I
back
know.
to that and putting. So yeah, so
I find that like such a funny part about the game of golf is I feel like you almost like master a club at a certain point where you're like, oh, I'm like, great, I know how to hit this now. Let's focus on something else. And then you spend all your time focusing on something else. You feel like you've mastered that. And then you go out, and then the club that you thought you mastered before, like it's like you forget how to swing it. I don't know if
It's
that's
happened.
just me
and
or
and and for us, like guys like us, we're just hackers. Like, I mean, we play a lot of golf and we work on our game a lot by ourselves. But I've said this before. Like, there are times when like you'll pick up a club and you'll have no idea how to swing it. It's like
yep.
you've swung this club probably about 200 or 300 times so far this year, and it's like you take that club out of the bag and you stand over the ball and go, I have no idea how to do this. You have no
Hmm.
markers to go back to, like especially if you don't have any take any lessons. Like, we've never taken
Yeah.
any lessons, but it's like, where's my marker? I have no markers, and you're standing over going, I may as well just pull out my putter and just try and move it like 20 yards down the
Yep.
fairway, right? Oh, it's a wild game for
That
sure.
is the one benefit about doing lessons. Because, like, you always kind of get into this zone, I feel like sometimes where, yeah, it's like you forget how to swing a certain club. So I do like to go back for a lesson if I'm really struggling with it for like a couple weeks and I'm not figuring it out on my own. It's nice to go do a lesson and then right away the guy's like, this is what you're doing. Why are you like over hinging your wrist? And I'm like, I'm doing that? I didn't even notice I was doing that. And
Yeah.
it's just like a little, it's such a funny game. Like it's just a little tiny thing that you change and then it throws off your entire swing.
It is surprising that we can go out and swing these clubs and make contact with the ball and sometimes get it to go where you want it to go.
Yep.
Because it is such a it's a terribly hard sport. And
Hmm.
to get off the tee box, and again, fairway to green. And over the years, as we've done this and played hundreds of rounds now, um, every now and then, you'll play a round where it's like fairway to green, and
Hmm.
you're like, how do I even do this? I don't even know how to play this game because I've never.
Well,
You know what?
yeah,
I started this game at 47. Just wild.
I know it's crazy. It's such a humbling game too.
It can be, and that was one of my biggest aspects first when I started. I think you just alluded to it a little bit. Being competitive and
Hmm.
play. We play against our buddies, and the
Hmm.
mental part of the game when it's not going right can absolutely derail everything.
Destroy your game. It could just destroy the whole round. I've been there because, yeah, I'm very competitive and I'm just like, God dang it. It's like, you're better than this.
Well, and we play like amongst our buddies. We have trophies that we play for, and like a jacket at the end of the year, and you we'll play an event like one of our tour events, and there will be very little chat in the golf cart as we go around
Mhm.
because we're actually competing against our buddies
Oh,
for
yeah.
stupid trophies, right? But that's what we do. That's part of keeping me competitive as well, like keeping that competitive mindset as you get older, right? But I'm competing
Hmm.
against guys that are like 10, 15, 20 years younger than I am, so I'm the old guy of the
Yeah.
group. It's
Ah, that
you gotta
doesn't
you gotta
matter though.
recognize that as well, right?
That doesn't always matter.
No.
Age doesn't
And
matter.
especially with golf. Golf is a
Yeah.
game, like I said, where it doesn't matter what your age is, you can pick it up and you can continually get better at it as you go along. And I think that's
Mm.
why this sport has really gravitated me towards it, and I've really kind of grabbed onto this sport, is because this is going to give me something to occupy my time until I literally can't play this sport anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why people get so addicted to it because, like you said before, like you'll never ever perfect the game.
But you can always
Like
get
they,
better at it,
yeah. So I
right?
think like people just kind of like having that achievement to try and like get to. Just yeah, I don't know. It's a fun game.
It is a fun game. Well, Kristen, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for jumping on with us here, and we look forward to seeing more from Four Chicks down the road. And stay in touch.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
You bet. It was a good chat. Thanks.